This soliloquy, you could sleep in the bed with 2 and 3 women and nobody's satisfied. You got 100 suits, you can't cover up the pain. You got 300, 400, 500 pairs of shoes, you can't take a step in the right direction. You got 9 or 10 cars in the driveway, you ain't going nowhere. You got a 15,000 square foot house, but you ain't got a home. By the time you get to the bottom, because God is calling you collect, and you do not want to accept the charges because you know it's going to cost you something. So that ringing, that noise in your life that you can't turn it off. You up the bat and you 3 for 4 that night, and you stolen 3 bases, but that ringing is in your ears and in your head, and you cannot turn it off. You go on the football field and you dominate, you breaking up passes, you returning touchdowns, you high stepping, you doing your dance, but after the game it's ringing, and you can't get this out of your head. So now you just crying out, you're crying out for help, and you began to be suicidal. So you sitting on the bench with the Cincinnati Reds, and you 3 for 4, few stolen bases, and you take a bottle of pills right in front of all your teammates. That's your cry for help, because you can't cry. You know why? I'm the man. How can the man cry for help? We all told our sons, back in the day, you don't cry. You ain't soft. You ain't no sissy. You don't cry. You don't tell nobody your problems. You internalize them. You man up.
What's the word of hope that changes that?
The word of hope is sooner or later, you're going to have to surrender. You're going to have to surrender. Because you may not see it now. You may not know it now. But life is so much better if you just surrender. Why you fight the fight that's already fixed? Surrender. I didn't really know what that meant when I see people on television come out. You know, the old Western, they came with their hands up. They're surrendering. They say, you got me. You got me. I'm not fighting no more. You got me. Don't shoot. You got me. And that's how I went to God. And see, I had a moment. That's why nobody can tell me nothing about the gospel of Christ Jesus. Nobody can tell me nothing about who he isn't, because I had a moment right in a room in Cincinnati, Ohio, a condo by myself. When I finally got on my knees that night and I surrendered, I said, Lord, if you here, take me, I'm yours. And the lights that came into that room, the sound and the wind, the whistling, and it came through that room, and it's like papers was flying, and the light was so bright and radiant that I was just crying out, Lord, take me. And it was so the most beautiful thing I've ever saw. I had a real visitation.
So for you, the gospel, accepting the gospel, was a very dramatic moment for you.
It was. My life has been dramatic. So how won't that scene been dramatic? You think my life has been mediocre? My life has been dramatic. So how's God gonna come to me?
So you've been living prime. God came to you in a prime way.
Yes, because he wanted it to be real. He wanted me to see the authenticity and the real. And when I tell you he came. God has always spoken to me, and I've always knew it was him. I just wasn't ready at that particular time to accept the charges, because I felt like it was going to cost me too much. I could do this. I don't have to be perfect, Pastor. I just got to be present. God hadn't called me to be perfect. He called me to be present. God hadn't called me to the pulpit. He called me to the street. God ain't called me to the altar. He called me to the field. My ministry is everywhere I am. It's not just isolated in this place. It's everywhere I go.
So you mentioned before that before you knew Christ, you thought about, you kind of gave an inventory of the success, the wealth that you've enjoyed. And it didn't fulfill you in any way. After Christ, now that you have Christ in your life, how do you view those same resources?
It isn't about them. Well, Prime, you got this, you got this, you got this. No. That had me. Now I got it. And that's a tremendous difference. For the most part, I drive a pickup truck. I can afford a Maybach. I can afford a Rolls Royce. I can afford a whole lot of things. But what I choose, see, it's all about choices, man. Pastor, I'm trying to make the right choices, not just for me, but for my kids. Not only my kids that are my biological kids, but the kids I coach. Not only just for the kids I coach and my biological kids, but the kids I come across in the community. And not just the kids, their parents.
1, 2, 3. Hey, remember your standards, guys. Let's go.
The pressure is on for you to reflect Christ in all that you do.
That ain't no
You're
pressure.
known.
There ain't no
So
pressure.
talk to me about what that
There
looks
ain't no
like.
pressure. Pressure? You know what pressure is? Pressure is a single mother of 3 with no man in the house. She just got fired or terminated from her job, and she got to make ends meet, and she got to feed those kids. Pressure is a kid laying up in the hospital that don't know his next breath, that don't even know if he's going to make it to tomorrow. That's pressure. This ain't no pressure. This is a choice. And I've made the choice to everywhere I go, I'm going to take Jesus with me, or I don't need to be there. If I can't take my God with me, why am I there? Why am I there? And God gave me so many tools. He gave me so many gifts, so many talents, so many ways to touch and create and attract. I would be a fool if I didn't utilize all of them. And see, it's not about me. It's about us. I've trusted man. I've trusted woman. I've trusted child. I've trusted people, places, and things. And every last one of them have somehow, some way or another let me down. But not Jesus. But not Jesus. Not one day, not one time, not one moment. And I've learned to accept all things. In all things, when I tell you all things, I don't have bad days. All my days are good. All my days of learning are there lessons, or there things that take me from faith to glory, or there ways that teaches me and trains me how to reach and how to teach and how to touch, how to inspire, how to encourage and how to motivate. All these different things. I've been through private hell and public hell, and have had private success as well as public success. So everything is a learning tool for me, and I'm going to take every last bit of it and try to encourage and motivate others to come to know Jesus. I don't care what anybody would say. I know what works for me, and I want you, just like I go to a restaurant and tell you, hey man, there's some good food down here. I'm going to tell you, hey man, there's some good Jesus over here.